Can we turn now to horror? Two horror films out this week. I've been looking forward to this. This is where you two finally get to shine. Who's kicking us off then? We're going to talk about The Innkeepers and The Pact.
That would be me, I think, Joe. Yes, it's half term, and for those of you with no kids, these are your alternative titles. The Innkeepers and The Pact. Now, a couple of years back, we had Eli Roth's Hostel, and of course what happens with horror is everything goes in cycles. So after Hostel, you had a whole series of films in which teens were strapped to chairs and had various implements applied to their sensitive parts. People got a bit sort of bored with that, and then you had Paranormal Activity, which was a slightly more low-key, old-fashioned sort of ghosty approach. Now, both of these films are following on from that, and this cycle has therefore continued. Now, Ty West has done this thing before. He had a little movie called The Roost back in 2005, and more recently, House of the Devil. Both of them have this really sort of old-fashioned, creaky house approach to stuff, and in this case, what's happened is that this old, venerable inn is about to close, and a couple of people, a sort of asthmatic college dropout, Claire, played by Sarah Paxton, and this nerdy underachiever, Luke, played by Pat Healy, are just kind of seeing out their time, really. They've only got a couple of guests. One of them's a rather angry mother who's hiding from a violent husband. Her son's along for the ride. And the other one, more interestingly, is an ex-actress turned professional medium who's played by Kelly McGillis from Witness back in the day. And it's an interesting movie because there's obviously at the back of this, there is this myth, the myth of the 19th century bride Madeleine O'Malley, who hung herself in the basement after her husband bailed out on the honeymoon. How bad a honeymoon must that have been, you ask yourself?
It was a bad day
she had
for
to hang
everyone.
herself in the basement. And the idea is that in the course of this weekend, they will discover whether or not this myth is true. Now, I mean, I've got a lot of time for Ty West. He's a kind of indie writer, director, editor. He does it all himself. He does it very low budget. And he a lot of emphasis on the kind of slow burn. The problem with this one is it's such a slow burn. It sort of threatens to sputter out, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. And it didn't quite follow through for me. I felt that he hasn't really ever fulfilled the promise of The Roost back in 2005, and he is currently, for me, living on borrowed time.
Oh, right. And should we get an email to him immediately? Just to get that underlined. Ty West sorted it out. Let's have a little listen to a clip.
Alan, speak to us. We wish you no harm. Why do you stay here? Why does your spirit never rest? Wait, no. Madeline, we know that you're here with us right now. Speak to us. I can hear her. Do you hear the whispering? Alan?
What?
She's right behind you.
I saw it on a little screen, which I watched in a hotel.
Oh, dear.
And freaked myself out, couldn't sleep because the lift kept going up and down.
Yeah,
I was thinking, it's Madeleine O'Malley.
You were living your own version.
I was.
Yeah.
Weirdly, she was wearing the same T-shirt as me. That really started to freak me out. Anyway, I have a rule to myself. I get to a certain age, don't go on roller coasters, don't wear short denim skirts, and don't watch scary films. That's my own personal rule. But
Fair enough.
I was left with lots of questions at the end of it, like why, and why.
I agree. I really liked the kind of characters, and I thought it was very believable. The dialogue between the main characters is believable. Lena Dunham's in it, who's, you know, Girls. Have you heard of Girls?
Yes.
Which is the new HBO brilliant show coming up soon on Sky Atlantic. She's like working in the cafe next door.
She's the new big thing. Everybody loves
her.
her.
Lena Dunham completist. We need to see it because she's great in it. Everyone's really good in it. It's just the horror element is really disappointing. There's no proper jeopardy, I didn't feel at all, and no scares, no real scares. The rest of it's great. I just wanted it to be a kind of fairly decent meeting with these characters, and I enjoyed that, but not scary.
Not scary, I know. And I kept thinking, have I missed something? Because there's a really funny bit which makes you jump, which is actually an internet prank with your computer. That's sort of the
funny,
biggest
but
scare.
yeah.
And also I just was, I'll have to talk to you about it afterwards. I don't want to give away the ending, but I was very confused. Okay, what about The Pact? Any better?
Well, there's an internet jumped in The Pact, in fact, which won't give away because it's actually very nicely done, although I have a feeling it might be in the trailer. Now, Nicholas McCarthy made it 11 minutes short, actually, which he showed at Sundance, and then he parlayed this into a feature. Always a dangerous thing to do, because the danger is always that it will get a little bit overstretched, a little bit under-characterised, and I think that's what's happened here. The story is actually quite a nice setup. The mother of the main character, Annie, dies. She returns to the unhappy family home where her ex-drug addict sister, Nicole, has mysteriously vanished. Then her cousin goes missing as well. There's some presence in the house which is making spooky noises at night and throwing her about rather violently at times. She gets in an incredibly creepy medium. There's a medium again, played by Hayley Hudson, who's fantastically good. This kind of stick-thin, fragile little woman comes in and senses this terrible presence that's there, that's lingering in the air. And it all comes down to the uncovering of some very unsavoury family secrets. And, you know, on the one hand, I liked it because, again, it took this low-key approach. It didn't sort of over-egg the pudding. But on the other hand, by the time the heroine pulled out the homemade Ouija board, it was fairly obvious that the writing was on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for half an hour it was good. I thought for half an hour it felt original. I thought the kind of style of it was interesting, and it was creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but creepy. And then I just thought it fell really flat. In fact, once Casper Van Dien came in as the cop, I just thought that was he was fairly weak, and it just kind of meanders to some fairly standard horror conclusions. And my least favourite thing about all horror films these days, and it's not a spoiler, it's just one of the things that all horror films feel they have to do is, well, you've reached the ending, and then they have to have that final scary bit. You know, that every single horror film does it, and it's this one just ruined it. I thought that actually the normal ending is quite moving in a way of this film, without giving anything away. And then it's got the final scary bit, and it's just cheap.
It's got the Carrie hand coming out from the grave. It's got the fatal attraction coming out.
It all goes back to the Carrie hand, which is brilliant, a brilliant thing. And there's another similar bit in Dressed to Kill. But those work brilliantly. But nowadays, every horror film director feels they have to have the final scary bit, no matter how little sense it makes. It doesn't make any sense in this film.
Do you think it's that we've just got really old and aren't scared easily anymore? I mean, do you think if you're 17, 18-year-olds going to see this, obviously you have to... Is it 15, isn't it? I think they're both 15.
15.
Yes.
Yeah, then do you think they'll be scared easily by either of these films?
I don't think they will be scared that easily, you know. And I know Mark mentions it every week when he can, but The Exorcist, you think about a film like The Exorcist, which is genuinely terrifying. You compare these films to that, it's just nowhere near, is it? So someone can still scare you if they try hard enough.
Okay, yes. That is not an invitation to scare either of the three of us on our way home from work later on tonight.